Welcome to the Primetime News on the 9th of January 2020. And the elusive Western Kenya unity continues. Leaders from the region set in motion an ambitious drive aimed at galvanizing support in the region and lock politically up the Mulembe nation. But will that affect the region and perhaps to what extent politically? Our political affairs reporter Jeff Khaimba has that update here on the program. The Primetime News also entails developments across the Middle East and in the United States of America as the standoff continues between US and the Iranian government in Tehran. The killing of Major General Qasim Soleimani lengthens already 40 years of conflict between Washington and Tehran. For Donald Trump, it helps drive away attention from an impeachment process and populist political year ahead in 2020. For the Iranian regime, it helps glue the public and end anti-government protests against the Ali Khamenei-led regime in Iran. For the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, it helps get the much-needed public support and perhaps form the government. And for the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, it helps end months of diplomatic pressure following the gruesome murder of its journalist Jamal Khashoggi in its Istanbul consulate in Turkey in October 2018. We have a report by our partner station, The Voice of America, from Washington, Capitol Hill in the United States of America. Later on News Compass, that will be the hashtag on Twitter. President Uhuru Kenyatta pledges to turn around the country's economy in 2020. But the Central Bank of Kenya governor says otherwise, and that 2020 will be no better than 2019. Can President Uhuru Kenyatta perform the much-needed economic surgery in the country and end allegations of corruption, incompetence and patronage that dot his government ever since 2019? This is the Primetime News. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi. Our sign anchor tonight is Joyce Wairemo. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Quest for Mulembe Nation unity as leaders remain divided over the unity of the vote-rich region in the country.
Attending from Lugari, you will Ruto camp, me I don't care, me I'm Musalia camp. Tini Mwale Karibu.
These are wrong leaders, members of the press, because if we have leaders like Sabula, these are just like conmen.
Jubilee Party Miguna Shoka, allies of the Deputy President William Ruto, support his return as the government maintains the fiery lawyer must get necessary documentation before touching down. Closure of school after teacher is burnt alive over poor performances in the recently concluded national examination. And in the United States of America, the Congress seeks to tame Donald Trump over seeking direct military confrontation with the Islamic Republic of Iran following the killing of military general Qasim Soleimani. Welcome to the program. The hashtag on Twitter is News Compass and the short SMS code is 40920. And we start on a happy note because the national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, have earned a slot at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan for the first time in 16 years after thrashing Nigeria by straight sets in the Cameroonian capital Yaoundé in West Africa. The Kenyan team, having won their opening 3 matches, Malkia just needed a win to gain by a minimum 3 sets to 1 as they delivered it in style, hitting Nigeria with surgical precision to earn a spot in Tokyo, Japan 2020. They had beaten Egypt 3-1 earlier, demolished Botswana by straight sets and picked the sweetest and the most important victory, a 3-2 win over rivals Cameroon on Tuesday. We head to Meruland, and Mira farmers in Meru County are in fear of locust invasion after the insects were spotted in several parts of the county. The desert locusts have ravaged northeastern part of the country in Kenya, which have made their way into Isiolo and Meru counties, even as the government officials now downplay their threat, as our reporter Busara Naman tells us in the following report.
That will be used to spray have been tested and registered and authorized for the control of locusts, hence not harmful if used according to the guidelines that will have been issued. Therefore, the government, we wish to assure the public that this is an issue that the government is fully in control of, and hence there should be no cause for worry.
Despite the government's efforts to deal with the locust menace, more swarms of locusts are still invading neighboring counties. The locusts are said to have been seen at Ndumuru village in Tunene ward and Kina, Meru, Kiutine. Residents are now appealing to the government to intervene. Ndumuru chief Romano Mushiri said the locusts, which are now in the wingless stage, have been spotted in several groups feeding on shrubs. Igembe North Deputy County Commissioner Charles Langat said government officials were monitoring the situation, adding that there was no cause for alarm. He assured the residents that the locusts will be contained before they pose a threat to vegetation in the area. In Isiolo, County Commissioner Herman Shambi said the swarms of locusts have covered up to 3,000 square kilometers of land in Garbatula and Merti. According to Meru County Agriculture Executive Carol Mutiga, the Crop Protection Department of the Ministry of Agriculture had promised to dispatch aircraft to conduct aerial spraying. Elsewhere, the Kenya Entomologist Association has advised the government to focus on potential breeding habitats by destroying locusts that has infested the northeastern part of Kenya. The association also advised residents in the affected areas to consume the locust over its high nutritious value.
Maembe haivunwi kila siku ama kila mwezi Kenya. Inakuja kwa wakati yake. Zige zimekuja kwa wakati ya vile tunawazuia pia tuwakule. Hatuwapunguze kabisa. So na kitu kingine tunataka kusema ni tutumie njia zote zifaavyo vizuri kupunguza wao kuendelea na mbele. Na zile mbinu zinafanya waendelee tupunguze. Hivyo ndivyo tunaona.
The invasion of locusts comes 5 days after Meru Jubilee Party chairman Joseph Muturia warned that the pest would soon reach the county from Wajir if not contained on time. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
And matters politics. The first consultative Building Bridges Initiative meeting will take place tomorrow in Kisii County with over 2,000 delegates expected to attend the convening. The meeting comes even as Western leaders clash on whether another meeting slated for the 18th at the Bukhungu Stadium in Kakamega County should take off or not, as our political affairs reporter Jeff Khemba explains in the following story.
Campaigns for the Building Bridges Initiative BBI Phase 2 has taken off the road and now it's heading to Kisii County, the home turf of the opposition chief Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga will Friday officially launch the forum meant to drum up support for the BBI initiative, where the residents will channel in their views.
Mimi niko na safari ya kwenda Kisii sasa hivi na mwenzangu Mheshimiwa Simba Arati. Tuko na mikutano kubwa huko.
Na tumesema kwamba BBI inaendelea kukusanya maoni. Kama mtu ako na maoni nyingine yoyote yale, aende pale atoe maoni yake.
Ile ripoti ambayo ilitoka, mimi kama mwanasiasa sitaki kuwapea direction kwanza. Mimi nataka uisome.
More than 2,000 delegates will discuss a 156-page document released by the BBI task force in November last year by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Hatutaki kwamba miaka 50 kwamba ikitoka Rift Valley ikuje Central. Ikitoka Central irudi wapi? Hii inji afadhali itoke Central ikuje hata Nairobi ama iende Ukambani.
Inahusu wewe kama Mkenya. Sasa wewe peana maoni yako uone ni vipi ile devolution can be strengthened. Peana maoni yako kama mwananchi kwa sababu ile pesa inakuhusu. Tumeelewana hapo?
After Kisii County meeting, Raila Odinga will be expected in Kakamega County in Western on the 18th of January to preside over a similar event. However, the meeting organized by the Kotu boss Francis Atwoli, Raila Odinga and the Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has been met with stiff resistance. Leaders allied to the NC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula of the Ford Kenya party, and those allied to the Deputy President William Ruto have vowed to boycott the meeting. However, the Atwoli Raila allies have assured the residents that the planned meeting will go on.
It is vividly clear that dark forces are conspiring to defeat this noble process as they attempted in 2010 and failed. We are similarly aware that these few leaders are speaking for their master, who is known to oppose all constitutional reforms.
Led by the Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, and the 8 members of parliament rallied behind the residents to turn up in large numbers to give their proposals over the BBI report.
This is a national event organized by the BBI itself. There are those who refuse to give their views. We can see that again they are refusing to come to this particular event. But we know that the process will go on.
The Buhungu meeting is on. We want to affirm.
Our party did not have a common position that was presented to BBI, unlike other parties like Ford Kenya and ODM and the others. So this is an opportunity for us.
According to the members of the parliament, the event will not be about the succession politics, but give the highlight about the silent issues affecting Western region.
And we are anticipating that BBI is really going to give us a voice.
Itakuwa ni vibaya tukitawanyika, wengine wanaongea jana, wengine leo, na hii ni jambo ambalo walikuwa najua. So sielewi kwa nini ambaye itafanya Waluya sasa ni kugawanyika tu, kila mara tunaonekana tumegawanyika. Tungeomba wale wenzetu tushikane kutoka sasa.
The people mashinani have been waiting for the BBI. And it is their right for BBI to go mashinani.
On Wednesday, the Lugari member of parliament Ayub Savula clashed with the 10 members of the parliament on whether the proposed meeting should be postponed.
People who are
I'm attending from Lugari. You in Ruto camp, me I don't care, me I'm Musalia camp.
Yeah.
Tini Mwale karibu.
These are wrong leaders, members of the press, because if we have leaders like Sabula, these are just like conmen.
Reporting for Ebro TV, I'm Jeff Khaemba.
Away from the quest for Mulembe Nation unity, as we seek to see the much-awaited 18th of January get-together or gathering at the Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega County, we await what's next for the Votrich region. Back to Nairobi, the newly elected Kibra Member of Parliament Bernard Emran Okoth today presided over the unveiling of the newly refurbished classrooms at the Toy Primary School in Kibra constituency.
Barely 2 months after being elected into Parliament, Okoth has already set the ball rolling in the development of the constituency with the opening of refurbished classrooms at Toy Primary School. The project that was funded by the CDF was unveiled at an event attended by all stakeholders in the constituency. Speaking during the function, Okoth said the refurbishment will serve to improve education in the constituency.
This is just the beginning. We've renovated 12 classrooms here. Most of them were not occupied. Na tunataka wanafunzi wakuje hapa. We have Olympic primary that is overstretched, 5,000. Na mimi nimeambia RDE hapa na sub county, sitaki kuona wanafunzi zaidi katika Olympic primary. Because leo tukikuwa na situation mbaya pale, tuweze kuwa hata na stampede ambayo sisi hatutaki ifanyike, mwalimu mkuu hataweza. My pledge to you, I'll work with you closely. Nitafanya kazi na nyinyi kwa ukaribu sana. Knock my door anytime ili tuweze kufanyia wanafunzi ambao wameketi hapa kazi.
Also present at the event was Dagoretti North MP Simba Arati, who urged collaboration between the two constituencies in a bid to make Nairobi a great county.
We have bright children here in Toy. Kit. Lazima you must promise. Mwalimu Mheshimiwa Bernard amefanya kazi yake na nyinyi mtafanya kazi yetu.
Reporting for Ebro News, I'm Musa Amir.
Now, operations in public universities across the country are likely to grind to a halt from Thursday next week after the university's academic staff union, UASU, this morning issued a 7-day strike notice. The lecturers vowed to down their tools as the government had failed to implement the 2019 collective bargaining agreement. And the lecturers say that according to the agreement, they were supposed to be paid by November last year, but the government has failed to honor the agreement. Dr. Wesonga said that as a result of the calculation after the last negotiations with the government, the figure owed stood at 13.8 billion Kenya shillings.
We are seeing blame games from SRC, IPCCF, and Ministry of Education. So we are being taken aback when the same SRC is saying that the cost of the CBA is 8.8 billion. But I want to say that that is not our problem. That is the problem of the employer and SRC to sort out.
If the said CBA will not have been honored by 20th of January 2020, all academic staff in public universities will withdraw their labor. It is our understanding that the money allocated for the said CBA is being diverted for purposes it was not meant. This has put the university workers in awkward position. And in order to realize, among other things, our constitutional rights, we have no option but to give a notice of intention to withdraw our labor within 7 days.
Now, the musical chair surrounding the return or lack of it thereof of controversial lawyer Miguna Miguna now finds itself in the heart of the ruling Jubilee Party politics, with allies of the Deputy President William Ruto now calling out President Uhuru Kenyatta over what they say is frustrating Miguna Miguna. The matter, which once again has become the fodder for the rift in the ruling Jubilee Party, further divides the party along the Tanga Tanga and Kieleweke factions.
The tribulation facing the self-declared General Miguna Miguna, currently holed up in Germany after the Kenyan government allegedly declined to approve his homecoming, has slowly but surely opened the lid once again on the rift within the ruling Jubilee Party. This is after allies of Deputy President William Ruto took to various social media platforms to throw dirt at President Uhuru Kenyatta government, which they accuse of setting a bad precedent of blatantly defying court orders. Team Tanga Tanga Online Brigade, led by Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen, used the platform to once again hit the president, his four-turned friend Raila Odinga, in the handshake deal, accusing them of going against building bridges by frustrating Miguna's return. This has landed him a wave of backlash from tweets whom accuse him of double-speak, as he was one of those who supported Miguna's deportation. Murkomen's sentiments online were also supported by Kiharu MP Didi Nyoro, a staunch ally of DP Ruto, who called out the government for disobeying court orders, further reiterating his calls for the resignation of Interior CS Fred Matiang'i and his PS Karanja Kibisho. In Tanga Tanga's arsenal also was now vocal Kandara MP Alice Wahome, who accused Matiang'i of reigning tyranny by failing to facilitate the return of Miguna as ordered by courts. The Jubilee rift was not only manifested online.
The courts have ruled. We need to facilitate his return.
But also offline.
So now, Miguna is just a vagabond in foreign capitals.
With Gatudu South MP Moses Kuria, who called out the president for speaking from both sides of the mouth.
During the burial of the late Charles Rubia, His Excellency the President said that people who, even those who are boarding planes like Miguna, are free to come back. So how can we say with one hand that Miguna can come back, and then on the other hand, we issue alerts to all the airlines to say that he should not board the airplanes?
The State Medical Agency KEMSA lacks the capacity to deliver enough drugs to all public facilities across the country. That's according to Nandi Governor Stephen Arap Sang, who says that the State Medical Agency mandated to supply medicine to all government hospitals does not have all the drugs needed in hospitals, yet counties have been barred from buying medicine elsewhere. Our Health Affairs reporter Winnie Lubembe lays out that report.
Sang says the agency has the capacity to supply only 70% of the drugs ordered, and since Parliament ended counties' independence to procure the remaining 30% elsewhere, patients have been left on their own. Sang insists, and I quote, counties used to get supplies for the remaining 30% from meds. However, since Parliament passed a bill forcing us to procure all our supplies from KEMSA, we are in a dilemma, end of quote. Sang said apart from KEMSA's failure to meet the orders, it takes 2 to 3 months to deliver supplies despite there being no outstanding debts. The Nandi governor spoke at Kapsabet County Referral Hospital when he received drugs worth 14 million shillings for 2 hospitals in his county. Kapsabet and Nandi Hills hospitals will each receive drugs and equipment worth 7 million shillings to cover the next 3 months. More than 130 health facilities in Nandi County will have to contend with the current shortages much longer to receive their supplies from KEMSA. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Thank you, Winnie. Now, the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, has dismissed all teachers from Ndoni Primary School after the brutal murder and lynching of a middle-aged female primary school teacher in Mutitu, Kitui East, Kitui County. 2 suspects arrested in connection with the murder of Daisy Mbade were arraigned in court earlier today. Wambua Mwangangi and Chris Chalo Muli are suspected to have been part of the mob that killed and lynched Daisy Mbade, a teacher at Ndoni Primary School, on January 6, 2020. The mob, which reportedly comprised of parents and of the school in which the slain teacher taught, is alleged to have perpetrated the crime over the school's wanting performance in last year's Kenya Certificate of Primary Education. Kitui resident Magistrate Felicitas Nekesa granted an application by Mutito criminal detectives to detain the suspects at Mutito Police Station for 21 days, pending conclusion of investigation into the murder. Kitui Kenya National Union of Teachers Branch Executive Secretary Simon Ndingo condemned the incident, which he termed a serious threat to the entire Kitui teaching fraternity. All right, let's now head to the United States of America, and congressional Democrats will vote on Thursday to curb U.S. President Donald Trump's ability to pursue open conflict with Iran. Tensions between the two nations appear to have been eased on Wednesday, but congressional Democrats say the administration of Donald Trump is set to outline a clear strategy for dealing with the Islamic Republic of Iran following the U.S. airstrike that killed Major General Qasem Soleimani on Friday last week. The Voice of America's congressional correspondent Catherine Gibson has more from Capitol Hill in Washington.
Retaliation for the U.S. airstrike that killed Soleimani. More than a dozen Iranian ballistic missiles fired at an Iraqi base housing U.S. troops, characterized by President Trump as Iran standing down.
All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases. Our great American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world.
While the U.S. is levying new economic sanctions on the Iranian regime, the threat of open conflict seems to have receded.
At a sort of a steady impasse diplomatically. For the moment, that's not a military impasse, of course. And I think what the president's remarks underscored is what we've heard all along from him, which is that he is not interested in getting into any sort of open-ended military conflict. And that's the risk, of course, on both sides. The risk is that in such adversarial conditions, that the adversaries can misread each other's strategic intent.
Congressional Democrats warned the risk of conflict in the wake of Soleimani's death is still high.
This is a sophisticated military organization that replaced General Soleimani within hours. And so the question of whether or not it even impacted the operations of this organization is a real one. We have 15,000 more troops in the region. Israel is less safe. We've now been the subject of attacks at places where American troops are. So it's hard to argue that we're safer today as a result of the president's decision.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo among the top national security officials briefing lawmakers on Capitol Hill Wednesday, revealing a split between Democrats, who said the president had ordered the strike based on insufficient intelligence.
It is a far cry from meeting a standard of imminent threat.
And Republicans, who praised the president's decision to kill Soleimani, saying the confrontation revealed Iran's weakness.
Iran didn't just take an off-ramp, they took a U-turn because they know they have no capability to fight against America.
But one Republican said the administration is discouraging discussion of U.S. strategy.
One of the messages we received from the briefers was, do not debate, do not discuss the issue of the appropriateness of further military intervention against Iran. And that if you do, you'll be emboldening Iran. The implication being that we would somehow be making America less safe.
With the risk of tensions flaring again, Democrats argue it is time to assert Congress's constitutional authority to approve military actions.
We are not convinced that the president acted correctly, and that's why Congress has to, after quite a long period of giving up our jurisdiction, take that back.
Speaker Pelosi said the House would vote on that war powers legislation Thursday. Senator Tim Kaine is co-sponsoring similar legislation, expected to come up for a vote in the Senate within the next week. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Capitol Hill.
Thank you. That report by Catherine Gibson, the Voice of America, our partner station from Washington, brings us to a break here on the program. But first we do some little analysis into how that might have consequence with regards to the standoff between Washington and Tehran on one end, because it's an ongoing 40-year conflict, which perhaps started in 1979 during the Iranian Revolution that led to the restoration of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, or the Khameneis for that matter, following the 1953 CIA-sponsored military coup, which of course toppled the then President Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran. Since then, relations have not been good, have not been well, soured up at times diplomatically, that culminated in the 2015 nuclear agreement between Iran and the world's 6 powers, including the United States of America, in which Donald Trump, after coming to office, said it was a hoax document and that he never fancied it, even during his campaign trails. He blamed the Obama administration, which negotiated for the document in an attempt to curb Iranian nuclear program. After coming to office in 2018, he moved away from the agreement which was signed between Iran and the world powers, and that subsequently further heightened the tensions between Washington and Tehran. Ever since then, relations have not been well with the strategic allies of the United States of America in the Middle East, concerned about their safety in the event Iran seeks to take some form of action through its proxies that operate in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and in neighboring Afghanistan. But the question has been the failure by the U.S. to install operational democracy in Iraq after the 2003 invasion, subsequently deposed the then leader Saddam Hussein and failed to install operational democracy. Thus, the country becoming a battleground for the competing interests of Washington and Tehran on one hand, and for terror organizations like the Islamic State, which cropped up and has never been present in the years of Saddam Hussein's tenure in Iraq. Thus, therefore, the essence of General Soleimani and the militia he controls, the influence he had even in the subsequent years that saw Iraq have new prime ministers under Nouri al-Maliki, Haidar al-Abadi, and the outgoing current prime minister, following mass anti-government protests in the cities of Fallujah and in the capital, Baghdad. Politically then, Donald Trump, in doing so, or ordering or taking out of Qasem Soleimani, will seek to divert attention from the impeachment process. A populist year ahead in 2020, in November, they will be voting in the United States of America. For his 2 strategic allies and countries, first Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu will get the much-needed public support, perhaps, and from the opposition end, the likes of Benny Gantz get the support needed to form a government in the Israeli Knesset, the Israeli parliament, ever since, of course, failing to form a government following the snap elections that he called for. For the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, the strategic ally of the U.S. on the other end, it helps perhaps partially end months of diplomatic pressure following, of course, the gruesome murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was brutally murdered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in Turkey. For the Iranian regime, the killing of Soleimani has glued the public and perhaps months of anti-government protests, as per, of course, the indifference that the Western media, the Western world, thought that there might be protests in support of the killing of the man, but in itself brought about millions to the street who mourned him as a general, as a hero, as a martyr and who fought for the country in the Gulf War between Iraq and Iraq in 1980. Thus opens up, flares up a whole sort of an echo chamber of new battlefront in the tensions between Washington and Tehran, even as the Congress, as per the report you have just aired on the program here by the Voice of America, said that there was an attempt by the Democrats-led Congress to tempt President Donald Trump's appetite for war ever since the tweets that he has been sending out since the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani outside the Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. On that note, we have the break on the program. When we come back, we have a special business report and later proceed over to sports. You are watching the Primetime News here on Ebru Television. Stay tuned. We are coming back after the short break. Thank you so much. You're watching the program. Many thanks for keeping us company here on the program. Earlier on, we touched on an important matter that regards the economy, as President Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, pledges to set the country's economy to the path of prosperity. However, despite all that pledge, the Central Bank of Kenya governor says otherwise, and that 2020 will be no better than 2019 economically. Therefore, brace yourself, Kenyans, is what he more or less is saying. Therefore, let's get to the statistics. What needs to be fixed economically, where we have slipped up, and whether we can correct or undo the economic damage in the country. On your screens, though, what you are seeing are matters that pertain to the economy, what President Uhuru Kenyatta did, of course, pledged in 2013 and 17, the creation of jobs, the million jobs that he and the Deputy President William Ruto pledged. The economic growth, which was set to be between 7 to 10% as per the manifesto that they had presented to the country in 2013 and 17. In 2010, the country's growth economy 5.8% despite the turbulent years prior that of the post-election violence and skirmishes. In 2011, it grew by 4.4%. In 2012, it grew by 4.5%. One of the other major aim and pledge was to reduce poverty rate in the country, which seemed to be a concern to many Kenyans as we speak. We head to the next one, and this pertains, of course, still matters the economy, and this is over the 30 billion Kenya shillings that is owed to manufacturers in the country, which needs to be paid back on time. And that will have an impact on the manufacturing sector in the country, a key pillar in President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, and there are questions as to whether they can be realized or achieved. Drop in taxes from 24% to less than 15% in the country, and there is a surge in debt to 5.8 trillion Kenya shillings, or if translated, 60% of the GDP, 10% above the required international standard. Therefore, it's a concern, even as the country needs to pay back the money that is said to be, of course, remitted to the countries that have bailed out the country economically. Matters education have featured equally very much in the manifesto and need to be realized. Commitment to 100% transition from primary to secondary schools. Funds for the Higher Education Loans Board. Of course, there was trouble with the listing of people who have defaulted the loans, and that has been a concern, attracted heavy criticism, and needs to be addressed and curbed. Loans for the training institutions in the country to boost up the university or varsity education in the country and channel out, of course, skilled Kenyans who can fit properly into the job market and take their attention away from the white-collar jobs in the country. The establishment of KAISIT and equally honoring the collective bargaining agreement between the teachers and the government. We have another important element which is said to be, of course, ironed out in regard to President Uhuru Kenyatta, who needs a lot of attention when it comes to this, and the next is on matters that pertain devolution or the system of governance that we ushered in 2013, envisioned under the 2010 Constitution. And sharing of resources is very key, which is yet to be resolved, and there was a standoff between the National Assembly and the Senate regarding what needs to go to the counties. Despite that, there has been no breakthrough, as governors still fail, concerned about the government's conduct when it comes to crippling of devolution. The governors accuse the government. Acting Treasurer CS Ukuri Yatani faults governors for lacking financial hygiene. And this, of course, speaks to the essence of corruption, money that is mismanaged at the county level, and the growing concern about the economies at the county, which continue to be crippled as a result of mismanaged and mishandled county coffers, even as a number of governors are facing charges of corruption in court, among them Governor Mike Sonko Nairobi, Samburu's Moses Lennon Kulal, and Kiambu's Ferdinand Waititu. Others have been red flagged by the institutions that are concerned, and there are likely numbers that are going to be increasing in 2020. Counties cumulatively since 2013 have received more than 1.5 trillion Kenya shillings, and this is a concern because there is so little to show for on ground in terms of service delivery and the need, sort of the political betrayal in the devolution of powers and state agencies across the country, and that has been a concern to the national government. On one end then, the county governments or administrations across the country accuse the national government of being high in corruption, while the national government points the finger of blame to the counties in regard to, of course, what's transpiring across the 47 counties in the country. Another important matter is the judiciary, the third arm of the government, and slash in budget affected service dispensation across the country, and sittings of some courts across the country were postponed to 2020 from 2019, and President Uhuru Kenyatta declined to appoint 41 judges who were approved rather by the Judicial Service Commission in the country. This again opens up a new battlefront with regards to the standoff between the third arm of the government, the executive and parliament, as the CJ David Maraga, the president, did say of the judiciary that he will choose which state functions to attend because of the crippling effect the slash in budget has caused to the third arm of the government. We heard to the other important element, and this has been, of course, featuring in the president's March speech across the country. 22.5 billion Kenya shillings recovered so far in the intensified efforts against corruption in the country, or corrupt state officials. Senior state officials implicated facing charges of corruption in court, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has averted more than 135 billion Kenya shillings in tender awards across the country. And that, of course, is a growing concern, especially when it comes to matters corruption and how that has had an impact on the national economy and equally on the county economies across the 47 counties, even as attention now even as the focus now shifts to how the two economies are going to be backing each other in regard to, of course, how the Kenyan economy can be revived and revamped. Now we head to business, and this is an important story. What do you do with your tires once they get worn out and are no longer useful for your car? Well, today, all car tires that are usually thrown away are earning entrepreneurs money, and it's business that also helps to save the environment, as our business affairs reporter Njeri Njogu, who interviews Simon, who recycles car tires into furniture, has been making good earnings from the business in the following story.
Tires have a second life.
Sasa gurudumu sana inakuwa ina recycle all tires for furnitures.
But where do you source for your raw materials from?
Actually, tires nazichukuaga kwa magarage, na zingine pia zinakuwa zimetupwa tupu huku kwa mitaa, lakini pia inategemea tai na kaaje, kama imechipuka kabisa ama iko tu poa, haijaribika sana.
He tells us for how long he has been in the industry.
Hii job, by the way, idea yenyewe ilitokana na post-election violence ya Kenya. Ukijua tu venye politicians waga tu wanatubaia makeroro, mamegoka, drugs, madawa, wanafanya tunachoma mataya, inakuwa ni ngumu kwa barabara kupitika. So with the time nikaonaga nakuwa nachoma do. So last year ndio nikaanza hii biashara.
Despite the business having such creative ideas, Simon explains some of the challenges faced.
Changamoto ni mob. Changamoto kama kufundisha vitu na zibaiwi. Pia saa zingine kwenda kwa market napata vitu ni expensive kuliko venye nilikuwa nimeenda kubai. Na pia saa zingine unapata watu pia wana bargain sana.
But how is he able to come up with such creative designs?
Kubita hapo competitors wa mine ni vako kama za kuproduce vitu smart, zenye hao wengine pia hawezi vumbua. Baadhi usanii yangu iko juu sana juu nacheza na za glasi, za material, alafu pia nimezibrand vipoa, ni vitu zinaweza.
He tells us on how he gives back to the society.
Kuna vijana model hii mtaa yangu, wale ma youth at risk, kuna mmoja, wengine pia nishamfundishaga job kama wawili washaenda. So hii job inaweza na wase wengi sana wamepitia kwa mkono ya mine.
The economy seems to be going astray, but despite all this, Simon says he's able to earn a living.
Lakini sasa towards December saa hii kuna vile job iko fiti juu tuko na soko, kuna masoko miwendaga mingi. In future nikajaliwa tu nikuwe tu poa, naweza fungua workshop tu kubwa sana. Place too smart na place inaweza.
He says that the government has not done enough to support jua kali industry.
Juu wenyewe hii life venye imefika saa hii, unasikia hata mtu mwenyewe anasema anashindwa ni kwa nini watu wako broke. So inabidi tu ujikakamue kivyako ndio uweze ku make my ends meet.
Simon has also set a motive to the youths in his area.
Hii job haitaki pesa mingi, labda tu upande wa tools tu ndio labda ni expensive, lakini ukiangalia vitu kama tire ni vitu zinatoka kitu kama 200 300, material tu ukiwa na dhao kaa 3, hii job umeanza. Na hii job tu unaweza unda tu kitu fiti moja ama 2 na uzipige na dopoa kama meza kama kitu kama hii nimekalia nikiangalia cost ya kuiunda ni kitu kama dhao 3 na naweza ikula kitu kama dhao 7.
Hii nilianza last year, nakumbuka vizuri. Ilikuwa holiday August. Niliweza kupata mentor wangu hapa Simon. Alikuwa rafiki yangu akanileta hapa kwa workshop yake.
Evanson says that despite this, he decided to join the group.
Passion ilikuwa na junior ikiwa fan. Before kushinda nikichapa raundi huku hivyo kuna kitu nafanya. Nilikuwa nacha nijiletange hapa hivyo. Tunafanya kazi na yeye.
They give entrepreneurs advice on how to carry on their businesses.
Kitu yote unadu ama kitu yote tu unafanya, unafaa tu kwa tu na discipline. Unajiweza, unajimake na unajimudu. Na unakuwa tu punctual kwa kile kitu unadu. Na pia usiweke pesa mbele sana.
So unaweza ona uko idol, unaenda unapata wale vijana wengine wakifanya vitu mbaya kama ukora na vitu zingine unaingilia na wao. Na hiyo inaweza kukosa hadi maisha yako.
Who would have even thought that old car tires would one day make expensive furnitures such as this table made of a car tire in March, or even this table made of a car tire in the tablecloth, or even this seat made of a car tire, tablecloth and metal. Nonetheless, today we met Simon, who has taken us through the process of making car tire furnitures, which is a job that he has done close to 1 year. Reporting for Every TV, I'm Njeri Njogu.
Thank you, Njeri Njogu. On that note, let's hit another short break here. When we come back, the sports report up next. Now, the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC, has nominated former Shujaa S. Humphrey Kayange to vie for a place in the International Olympic Committee IOC Athletes Commission in July this year. Kayange, who is the athletes' representatives at the NOC, has said that he had his nomination approved by the IOC in December 5 and will contest in the elections to be conducted during the Tokyo Olympics. If successful, Kayange will serve at the international body for a period of 8 years. The candidates vying for these positions come from the 5 continents and represent different sports. 4 places will be filled at the election to replace the outgoing commission members whose 8-year term came to an end this year. The 37-year-old retired rugby icon was part of Team Kenya in the Rio 2016 Olympics, where Rugby Sevens was the first time included in the Olympic Games, something Kayange had been on the forefront in advocating for. Thank you so much. With that note, as we await the Barcelona versus Atletico Club de Madrid from the Wanda de Metropolitano in the second semi-final, we come to a close here on the program, and we do thank you for joining us here on the Primetime News. I am Ayub, Abdikadir Abdi. Our sign anchor is Joyce Wairemo. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Good night.